Are you a business owner looking for real advice and input? You're in the right place. From concept to launch to growth, funding, and beyond. Welcome to Startup Hustle with your hosts. One once sold a business for $150 million. The other, the author of $1 Million Bedroom. Here are your hosts of Startup Hustle, Matt DeCoursey and Matt Watson.
1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. 'Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it.
And we're back. Another episode of Startup Hustle. Matt DeCoursey here with Bo Nelson, who will be sitting in for Matt Watson today. Hi, Bo.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago that you were in the studio with us, but welcome to my virtual recording studio.
Yeah, these days, if I'm just not in the fetal position, in the corner of some dark room somewhere, then it's a successful day. So I'm just happy to be sitting here.
Yeah, and as we get into this episode of Startup Hustle, which once again is brought to you by Fullscale.io, helping you build a software team quickly and affordably. As mentioned prior, with us today is Bo Nelson, the CEO, founder, janitor, and everything else at Thou Mayest Coffee. Yeah,
now
dishwasher. Yeah,
I'm just the bag boy now. I'm making sure all the coffee. I self-quarantined over to our wholesale facility so I could continue getting orders out. Kind of protect that thing that we built the company on, which is coffee. So
yeah, and that's why I wanted to bring you in. I've been doing some. I won't necessarily say special editions, but I thought that it would be really useful for our listeners to hear. Try to mix it up a little bit. I don't want to have weeks and weeks of COVID-19 bullshit, but I think that it's very relevant to get people's solutions out there and what everyone's doing. So obviously as a owner of a chain of coffee shops, man, where's my coffee?
Oh man. If you have a drive-through, you're set up pretty good right now. So all that smacking on that all the hipsters, did these past few years is coming back to bite them in the ass. If you have a drive-through, you're set. If you have curbside, you're gonna limp through. If you've closed your doors, it's going to be very hard to open up later. And everybody thinks that there's going to be some government assistance there, but I just don't think we're quite prepared for how much money this is about to be. So I doubt there will be much there by the time the small guys get to it. So.
Yeah, and we did just publish a special edition about the PPP loan. We actually were able to navigate ourselves in. We took days to get it prepared for that. But, by the time this comes out, hopefully we've all seen that deposit in our bank account. So as far as that, like I mentioned, you were just recently in, we were doing another coffee talk and, talking about all of it. And you were there at the podcast studio with us. And
it's been very quick. I mean, this is all, if you're having to pivot, you feel the pain of how quick and how fast, and it just yanks everybody all at once. And it's been really interesting to navigate that as a team. I think my perspective on it, I don't want it to come across as like, poor, COVID-19. It's like we view it as an opportunity to be able to make some changes that we've always talked about and just never had the opportunity to do. And just kind of seeing the companies that are being adaptive to that and just who are hustling and just trying to scrap for anything. It's just really inspiring. It gives me a lot of hope, to be quite honest, just because they're making it happen. It's not pretty, but seeing what Rieger's doing, say with sanitizer and Swell Spark, is now selling their product, and they got a hold of Charlie Hustle and us, and they're doing like these gift baskets now, and they're Matt Basinger is he's a stud. Like he just doesn't see clouds. He just sees, it's just a big, half full glass of lemonade, that he's over there. Same thing with Rieger and just there's some really inspiring companies that are stepping up right now. That it's just
well. Let's back up. Let's back up a second. Let's back up a second and talk about that, because I don't think our listeners are aware. Because both of the aforementioned parties are Startup Hustle alumnus. So Matt Basinger talking about, I believe his episode was about experience-based startups, because he owns an axe throwing franchise and also a series of breakout rooms. And then Andy Rieger was in our alcohol startups episode, and Rieger Whiskey. So Rieger Whiskey pivoted hard a few weeks ago and started making hand sanitizer, and literally like almost overnight. They can't even make it fast enough at this point.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, it's like if you're a distillery out there and you haven't pivoted to hand sanitizer, what the hell are you doing? Like,
yeah, no doubt.
I mean, like you can't make it quick enough. And
although I think there's an adequate amount of 24-hour drinking going on at home right now too, though. But yeah, with the hand sanitizer thing, and then on top of that, so Rieger's distillery is not. I mean, they have one location, so with that, they were able to partner with Blade and Timber, and that's the axe throwing franchise. And you said they may have reached out some other places about creating an effective supply chain using our own entrepreneur network here in Kansas City. And yeah, like you said, Bo, man, it's given me a lot of hope. I mean, I'm looking around and I'm saying, about day 2 of Rieger's pivot, I normally don't just send messages without a purpose, but I did send him one. I was like, dude, that's just a genius fucking pivot. Like, good job. And he said to me, Andy said straight up, he said, it was really great because our revenue could have dried up because, they're not just a distillery. They've got a hotel and like all these different things. And it was, so that right there was real smart. And then not only is that a great PR move, and keeps the revenue. It's just fixing a lot of stuff and America, fuck yeah on that one. Right.
Yeah. And that's what's just seeing everybody kind of do that in their own special way. And it's, I kind of do look at this as a war in a way, because it's like, then we're all going to have to be making sacrifices if it indeed is a war. Maybe some of us haven't felt it yet, but I know those in the experiential event spaces and in food and beverage, like we've all felt it big time and
absolutely crushed. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. I mean, I'm looking at, and my last book was about the music industry, and, that's given me a really direct line of sight with a lot of people with rock stars, and I'm talking to them and I'm like, dude, what's going on? Are you okay? And they're like, fuck. Yeah. They went from my buddies at Humphreys McGee went from they were supposed to be in Kansas City last night. I'm supposed to be hung over and worthless today. That's why we had a 3 p.m. recording time today, Bo. I was supposed to be able to do that. Yeah. But no, tour canceled. All of a sudden people are out of work. The people at the venues aren't doing anything. Like the full scale suite at the Sprint Center is closed. And we've looked at that. And I've said to 10 people, I'm like, how good does that Kelly Clarkson concert look now?
Yeah. Right.
We were all giving it a hard time when it was coming through. We'd love to go to an event right now. So back to the topic of coffee. I sent an email to you, a week ago or so ago, and was asking you to help donate to something I was raising funds for. And you sent me a reply back and said that had sprung something into action for you. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So kind of along with what you were doing and what I'd been seeing a lot from these emails come in from other medical professionals. And they were like, we're about to get hit hard. How do we order bulk coffee? How do we get it to the front lines, to the first responder and to those in the medical communities? And it was just, probably it's me just listening to the market. And to be honest, at the end of the day, it's I don't need loans from the government. I just need cash flow. My business is built on cash flow. And, it's as long as we have that cash flow going through. It's the same thing with Rieger. It's the same thing with any of the beer guys. Those of us who are doing kind of this large scale bulk, wholesale type production, we just need that cash flow coming in and going out. And so, that was the impetus, for saying, we basically want to sell our coffee at cost, with a 10% code on our website. It goes, send it to the medical community. We're selling it to you at cost. This is our wholesale rock bottom price. We're not making money on this. And, we're just trying to keep things moving and trying to get the front lines caffeinated. And, the comfort and energy that brings to somebody is could mean, the it could change their life. It could change their day,
You know, and by the way, then I was doing the same thing about 8 or 9 days ago. I was actually trying to, my sister's a doctor, and just hearing the kind of fearfulness about what was about to come, and she's married to a doctor, and I'm sitting there thinking, man, this is shitty. Yeah. And I wanted to be able to do something socially responsible and help. So I was like, what could I do? And I knew restaurants were getting crushed. Yeah. So I said, man, I'm going to do a fundraiser to try to raise money to spend at local restaurants or food places. And then we'll just send it all to the front lines, as you put it. So and the email you got from me, I sent out to my whole network. I was just like, hey man, like, give it a shot, and thanks for extent. I hope everybody steals the idea there. Take it, run with it, or do anything. I don't want to say steal, share it, like make it a real thing. Cause those are the folks that are really getting hammered right now. And then, you said, like, I felt like that was a little bit of a 2-for-1. So I love what you're doing there too. So maybe we need to spend some of my fundraiser money at Thou Mayest and send some people some coffee.
That's what I'm trying to encourage people and trying to get the word out. I've even tried to pay for a couple promotions on social media, and I usually don't do that stuff, but I'm like, man, like we're selling this stuff for like $9 a pound. I mean, that is about as cheap as we've ever been able to get it before. And it's like weird. Like none of us owners are getting paid, So it's terrifying, but it's one of those, it's like, we're all in the same boat. So it's like, it's not that scary. And I also feel like a lot of us who are kind of in that entrepreneurial, like we've kind of been at the wheel for, many years now. There's a few more gray hairs coming in. I feel like a lot of us have that resiliency muscle that we've already got. It's kind of been halfway worked out. We've gone through some crazy ups and downs. So it's like this coronavirus comes, and there's part of you that's like, oh shit. And then the other part that gets like the butterflies, because you're like, I was freaking made for this. Like, I've been punched in the face, Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of a weird glutton for punishment kind of reaction.
It's not right.
That whole made for this. It was and I think you might have known this or not, but I almost got stuck in the Philippines, and I was there I was supposed to be there from March 1st to 14th, and I ended up leaving on the 19th. And at one point I was dealing with all this right in front of 190 employees and trying to make the right decisions. And my wife asked me, she's like, you doing all right? And I'm like, no, not really. But at the same time, I might be built for this. And, because the answer was, I doing well? No, fuck no, I wasn't doing well. It was terrible. It was like the worst. It was like the worst week. I went from this like amazingly like uplifting, like, hey, let's light the fuse on the rocket. Let's all go to the moon together, to like, shit, hunker down, people, shut the office.
I mean, I think this is a great time for everybody to like check yourself. And this shows us like the true colors that we say that we're made of all day, every day. But, it's like when the hard times come and when the trials come, it's like, I just want to be part of that narrative and part of that story that's able to step it up and say, like, you know what, like I want to help. And I truly like want to step up and assist the front lines in whatever way I possibly can, and come up with creative solutions, whether that's to get them coffee or just to be able to, turn product. Like, can we roast something else in that roaster? Can we package other things and ship them? Like, to really trying to, I feel that during these hard times, I just made a post about this the other day. Like, I feel like these hard times, they make us, if you can really change your disposition, it changes like these neural pathways in your head, because you're kind of forced, your back's against the wall, and you're kind of forced to make a decision. It's like, are you gonna fire all your staff? Are you gonna keep them on and make a choice? And you're like, well, I'll wait till tomorrow. It's like, no, you've got to decide right now. Are you keeping the doors open, yes or no? And all of a sudden that opens up this whole new neural pathway that you're not really used to. It kind of forces you to. And if you can kind of embrace that process of like, you know what, like, I'm not going to try to fight it. I'm in it right now. And the more I've done that, the more it like gives me the goosebumps, or it gets me really emotional, because it's that creative flow of like, making sure that you're your brain is like trying to come up with these new solutions. And I know that when you change your disposition to being more positive instead of like just kind of bitching about, the government's not there for me. And it's like, well, I didn't necessarily, I hope they are, but I'm preparing like that they're not going to be. I'm hoping for the best in all this, but I'm also preparing for the worst in all this. And I feel like that's just kind of what entrepreneurs were built for, is like thwarting Murphy's Law on a daily basis, and
I like that. I like that. I have been quoted as saying that startups are like an onion, because the deeper you get into them, the more you cry.
yeah.
And and it's like that. I mean, that kind of like you said, it's like, I think if there is a group of people that are conditioned for the ups and downs, it is definitely an entrepreneur. Cause like, much like you said, I mean, it's like, I went through the same thing myself. I'm looking at a whole lot of different stuff, and you got to decide if you're going to sink or you're going to swim. And if you're going to swim fucking hard, or just sink hard. Like, do one, don't just float there.
Yeah.
And so much
it's a
of that,
hard, it's a hard message. I mean, because it's not like trying to call people out or like,
but it's not hard.
Yeah.
Sink or swim, like, I mean, if you're not going to try to swim, then you don't care enough to not sink. And, I mean, and by the way, if you signed up to be an entrepreneur and you weren't ready for the ups and downs, I mean, fuck, do you know how much time I've spent talking about that on this podcast? Like, for real, like, that's the whole purpose of Startup Hustle, is to make sure that you know what you're getting into. So yeah. Now, you mentioned having a few more gray hairs on the beard. I can see them.
Man, there's a lot of them coming in.
I've got them too. My daughter pointed them out to me, and I think that they're getting worse. But so in Congress with that, what has been the most what's been some of the most challenging and difficult stuff for you over this last 3 weeks?
Just the pivot, from hey, we're a cafe and a community space. We're kind of this extension of your third space, and now all of a sudden it's like, we love you, but we can't touch you. We can't hug you. Yeah. We can't be around you, so pivoting overnight, as soon as they were like, sent that stay at home order, like they were like, hey, you can't have 50 people. And I was like, guys, let's just go straight curbside. And they're like, it's way too early. They're not going to do it. And I was like, just look at the other states and what they're doing.
Yeah.
Coming. And so we just bit the bullet and did it. And so I think we built 3 websites in like one night on Squarespace and got it up by like, 4 a.m. And I think by 7 a.m. we were like up and going on it. And it was just one of those that it happened so quick. And then all of a sudden I'm having to realize, like, I've got to protect our coffee program, and we're doing a food grade product going out. And it's like, I need to take care of myself and make sure that I'm staying quarantined. And so almost like having to like let my team go. And that's been the hardest part, is just kind of like looking from the other side, just of the glass, like, hi guys, like, is it going okay in there? Call me, But
I've been in that real glass, because having come back from an international trip, today is actually my 15th day, so I'm free. I'm taking phone calls again. Was I supposed to not take phone calls? But
I guess you could.
Now, for those of you listening, if you want to learn more about Bo's coffee business or make an order online, and do that. And was there a code for helping the medical providers?
Yeah, it's
and he's going to look, while he looks it up, I'll tell you, you can go to thoumayest.com. That's THOUMAYEST.com. And, get some coffee delivered to you. You're still doing deliveries, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So so you can do curbside and pick up.
We'll subscribe, but just subscribe.
And then you can also like get our bagged coffee delivered right to your doorstep. And then if you enter the promo code LOVE for FRMC, and that's LUV for FRMC.
LUV, the number 4, then what?
FRMC, first responders and medical community. So
I love it. I love it.
If you enter that, then, just take another 10% off. I don't even care if people are ordering it for themselves and taking advantage of the deal, or if they are shipping it to somebody that they care about. Like, I'm trying to get people, like, we gotta support this medical community. It's about to get, did I just cut off? I'm sorry.
No.
Did I cut off there?
You didn't. No.
Okay. Sorry. I'm getting called. Bluetooth's messing up. Anyway, yeah, we're just trying to make sure.
And I mentioned we published the podcast warts and all, so I won't be editing that out.
Good.
Yeah.
Do it. But yeah, we just want to make sure that the medical community stays supported and know that they're seen, you know, and that we're all part of this together. And so that's where it's like, let's everybody, I had a mentor and he always said it's called like harnessing the ox. And it's like, you can get a lot of negativity done with that animal. You know, it's kind of that primal side. It's that animal part of our brain, you know, and it just kind of lashes out and it gets mad and it says dumb shit, you know, and then there's, if you can harness it though, and all of a sudden like turn that around, like all of a sudden you can get work done with more people. And it's like, we can harness that together and like surge forward against this thing, you know, in unison and together saying, hey, we're all here for each other. And you start getting in that rhythm, you start getting in that cadence of like, we're here to help. It's not about me. It's about you. How do we solve the problems that are plaguing the world? Hey, you know what, while we're at it, let's just like, let's clean our shit up, you know, while we're here. You know,
I think it's a good point, though. I think it's a good point. Like all right. So as this stuff was coming, and here's the thing. So I was on the other side of the planet, and honestly, Bo, I was about a week ahead of this because, you know, like around the 7th of March when I was in the Philippines, you know, everywhere I went, our office building, the parking garage, the hotel, everywhere, they zap your forehead with a laser.
Wow.
Everyone was wearing masks. Like we were handing out masks at our office.
Yeah, I was up in Portland like I was up in Portland like in the first week of January, like second week maybe. And I got super sick up there. And I mean, I've never been that sick before. And it was just the flu, you know, and I was like, man, if it's any indication like that, it's just, yeah, that was no fun. You know, and I came back and I saw it up there before, kind of like you said. And also I'm 2 weeks ahead, because we're the service industry and like we got axed first, you know, we just got our legs swept out from under us. So I've already been, you know, we've had like false alarms with people who thought they might be exposed. You know, I've already had to go through that. I've already had to go through quarantines. And we're just going through all this like payroll stuff. I mean, everybody is, but it's like, I mean, we already have data and numbers on like how much this is affecting our business. And I can't even imagine the larger businesses that are like, we don't even know how much it's affecting our business yet, you know? And it's like, we've got, you know, 30 or 60-day terms, you know, it's like, woo, this is going to end up like just piling up really quick. You know, some of the landlords like taking it seriously, like approaching us saying, hey, we want to work with you. And then there's the other ones who are like, we're not giving you any breaks. We know what's going on and the government's lying. And it's like, well, I don't disagree with all of it, but you know, they're not lying. Like you're not going to have anything left on this block when it's all said and done. And I think it's just, this is the landscape after this thing is, you know, that's why I'm just trying to encourage everybody. It's like, there's a lot of hope in it, but yeah, it's going to be hard. But maybe it should have been a little bit harder. And I don't know how to say that kindly, but like, you know, hearing our parents and our grandparents.
That's still TBD though. That's still TBD. Yeah. I mean, I think we're in for the biggest, you know, the worst of it yet to come. Yeah. I mean, some of the stuff, you know, economically, like we'll see. I mean, you know, assuming that they give out this $350 billion they started giving out today, I mean, that ain't going to hurt. But it depends on how quickly, man, you know, and maybe just stay home, people, and we can get this over with.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. My family has this nursery business, and it's been interesting watching them switch over to all these fruits and veggies, you know. People are all of a sudden getting their green thumb on, oh, I gotta grow my own garden now. And you're like, it's going to take like 50 days and it's going to be like one head of lettuce.
Well, it was really nice all week. So there probably were some people that planted, and then today there was freezing rain in Kansas City. So I had to I was out in my underwear bringing cactuses in at 6:30 this morning. So
yeah, we have all the blankets on our garden out there that we started.
So if you saw me, that was Bo, not me. I guess then people are asking why you're running around my house at 6:30 in the morning in your underwear during a quarantine. Hey, don't ask people. Don't ask. Right. So as far as so you've pivoted all to curbside pickup.
Yeah.
And is that
the wholesale side too?
Okay. So wholesale, well, when you say curbside, is that like, I mean, can I pull up and buy a cup of coffee at curbside, or is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can go, we created a website just to be able to do the curbside. And I mean, that's one of those things. It's like, we'll always have curbside from here on out. It forced us to do something we've always talked about doing, for all the moms and people who are like, hey, I'm just going to pull up. I'm in the white car, like just deliver it out to me. We've talked about doing it before, and we're like, we'll get to it some other time. And now we're like, we're getting good at it, and you can do orders to be ready at a certain time, making sure that we time those. And it's forcing us to be more creative in our service, because we have to literally just adapt constantly to the changing landscape of how we can get people that product. And it's like, we're just trying to be as relentless and urgent and as safe as we can to make sure that product and that service, it's like we lost the environmental part of it. So I can't talk about that anymore, but the product and the service better be tops, and that's where it's just trying to figure that out. It takes a while. And I'm just really proud of my team, and they're the heroes of this story. It's like, I had to go into quarantine, and like, they're sitting here like carrying the whole ship forward. It's awesome to watch. And it's been the hardest part, and it's been the most rewarding part. And just seeing the love from the local community, like still coming out and trying to support it and encourage people, like, get out there, support local, buy from these little guys. And it's like, it's just so important. I think, for the first time ever, we see like the power and the value of a dollar. It's like we are scrapping for every cent that we can possibly get right now, in the tip side, and also like in the product side. So it's been wild.
So is that making you reconsider any of your forward business model? Because one of the things that at Full Scale, we specialize in remote development teams. I mean, okay, we did have to close our office in Cebu. I mean, we'll reopen it, but it's letting us examine some things, because our employees in the past have wanted to work from home a little more, but that really hasn't been part of the model. But in March, 99.5% of our employees hit their deliverable.
Yeah.
And I'm, so like, I mean, the proof's in the pudding. And while I've had a couple comments from clients, just largely, almost none. So, it might reshape the way we think. And then also is having a lot to do with the plan that we do have for reopening. Because like 50% of our employees in the Philippines ride public transportation. Yeah. And that's a high risk to exposure because of somewhat tight confines. So we may actually reopen in stages. I'm not really sure, but it definitely, with real estate. So rent is, and I'm sure it's the same with you, is one of my biggest expenses every month. Labor is number one, and then rent. But it's making me look at, could we potentially use and maximize our local footprint a little differently?
Yeah,
is that going on in your thought process?
Yeah. I mean, like, first of all, like I'm already really glad at our diversity. It's like we did some things that were kind of unpopular, or like, people, I don't know. It's when really, and it's like, hey, we've got a few offices that we like. They like great coffees. Hey, we give it to them. It's like, just because they're not coming into your shop and into your environment or whatever, it's like, how do we take that product to them, and just kind of that mindset of taking our product and like to somebody else and being part of the landscape of, like, say, their kitchen counter, like designing those bags so that they're beautiful, that people like want to have them on your counter. Stuff like that, where, trying to have that relentless, like the customer empathetic side has allowed us to like be better at online than we should have been. And that's something that we haven't really even tried at, but man, it's exploded. This is in terms of the orders, it's so much more than Christmas time. It's nuts, like how many online orders are coming in. We go in way early, and trying to just get everything out by noon or 2:00, by the time USPS shows up, and it's like, whew, man, this is a lot of coffee going out.
Well, it's a good
It's
thing,
great.
right?
I mean, like wholesale definitely dipped off, but we've got Whole Foods. They're just explosive. Like they're ordering like 4 times as much. You've got Chateau. We do their home delivery program. They order like 4 to 5 times as much as they have been. So,
What's that? What's Chateau?
so they're doing Chateau home delivery, and you can order food just delivered in boxes right to your home. It's kind of a food subscription, but you can kind of customize it, and our coffee's offered in there, and just a lot of these other food service places. So, I mean, we're still considered essential just because we do food. So making sure that I stay quarantined and I stay safe, making sure all the orders get out and all the coffee orders get roasted and they're going to the right people. And we're starting to add, these special deals, trying to just add as much of that happiness and cheer into each of those boxes, as we possibly can. It's just been, it's been humbling. And I think that is the ultimate, if people say like, what are you feeling right now? It's like just humility, because it's like, I feel like this might be, the older generation.
By the way, that's a great point, Bo. Like the humility, like, I mean, what did the 5 fingers say to the face, right?
Yeah.
Smack. Yeah, because I mean, it definitely like there's the humility thing, and then on the flip side, you said something that I felt I've recently felt as well, which is this extreme sense of pride for the staff, the people that work with me, not for me, with me. They just have a different job than I do, but good Lord, they stepped
big
up.
Time, man.
Because,
I've got so many of these. Like I just captured it. I just pull over on the side of the road and I just be crying my eyes out, and I just be shaking, like my face would just be twitching and my throat would all be constricted, and my body was just like going through the ringer because like I mean people had to look at me and just be like, man, that guy is losing his brain right now, and my body's just, it's like tightening up. I'm getting like side cramps. I'm like in convulsions. It's like, what's happening? It's like just the immense amount of pressure and stress.
Too much coffee?
Wait. It's like, I wish, but man, it was just that much amount of stress and pressure to like try to, it was a couple of weeks ago, right before when all this was going down. And it's like, I would just call the team just in tears because I was like, guys, I can't do this without you. This is all you from here on out. And they were like, I was like, if I don't have buy-in from you guys, like we can just shut the doors now and I'll just continue doing wholesale for as long as I can, but we'll see what happens from there. And they were like, we want to fight, we want to go all the way to the end. And I was like, I will run as fast as I can beside you if you do this, and I will support you in any way that I can. Sure. And it's just the humility of like, there is no way that any of us are going to be good enough to get out of this. It's so tidal, it's so cosmic, and it's in its effect towards people like you and I. We're just small fish, in these massive markets, and for us, it's like it's, the pain is going to end up where it always goes, is to the worker and to the blue collar and to the working class. And I don't know. I mean, that's where I there's a whole value switch that's about to happen, because the people who know how to grow food and the people who are farmers, like now all of a sudden we don't have enough, foreign workers coming in to help them. And, it's going to really shake things up. And I think there's going to be a before COVID and there's going to be an after COVID,
yeah, sure.
It's going to really shake industries and just ways that we thought it was going to happen. And hearing people say, oh, I can't wait till it gets back to the way things were. And it's like, I hope, but I don't see
I think we'll get it figured out. That's the way I've been looking at it. So once again, with us today, the CEO and founder and dishwasher at Thou Mayest Coffee, Bo Nelson. If you want to learn more about Thou Mayest, go to thoumayest.com, THOMAYEST.com. So Bo, as we wrap up this episode of Startup Hustle, what are a couple things that you think our listeners can do to support their local anything right now?
Oh man.
I mean, obviously buy stuff local. Like I'll give you an example. So, here we are and we're doing queue time. I say queue time is due time, right? But so I just had a delivery from River Watch Beef. They brought me some steaks and Chris threw in a few extra things of beef jerky and said, thanks for having me on Startup Hustle. But I was just happy to have the food delivered. And, that was one of the things. And my wife was like, well, it could be less. I said, I don't care if it's less expensive or anything. We're buying this shit local. And we did. And I'm looking forward to a nice meal tonight. So, that was just one little step. But what do you think past making purchases we can do that might matter?
I mean, obviously, just beyond like the social distancing and staying home and just kind of beyond that obvious stuff. I mean, the power of that dollar in the local economy is, it's going to make it or break it for us. And it's like, we want this city to be awesome. We just got to show the world that we actually care, because if everybody's like, yeah, we've got you and we're going to do this whole Instagram post and I'll reach all of my, millions of followers with saying that you're my favorite. And I'm like, but you didn't buy a goddamn thing, man. Like, you didn't buy anything from me, and like none of your followers did too. Y'all talked about it, and that was great. But like, there's no value in your following if you don't actually purchase or buy or like be engaged. I think that's what you're going to see, and that's what I encourage everybody, is just start being conscious about where that dollar's spent and like how you're spending it, where it's going, because if it's able to stay in that local economy, these are your neighbors. These are, the people who you're going to be raising your kids with. And it's going to depend on us locally to figure it out, because, the government's just kind of like, whoop. Yep, states, your problem. The states are kind of like, hey, cities, here's a pile of shit, and the cities are like, we don't have a budget. So it's like, there's a lot of us business owners like stepping up, like trying to do everything that we can, like to problem solve. And it's like, just everybody needs to be flexible and fluid. And that's the other thing I would encourage people, is just be understanding and like full of grace and of understanding as you try to go about, resuming a normal life. But, waiting 5 extra minutes, for your favorite Mexican restaurant to deliver curbside is like, it's what's going to allow them to exist afterwards. And because they've just got too much overhead, not to mention if like these landlords are like jerks in the long term. So there's so many unknowns. Everybody just, it's, you try to be calm in that storm, and you try to dispense, like this peacefulness into what's going on. And there is that's going on. And it's like, just trying to, it's what you were saying earlier. It's like trying to minimize those freak out sessions of that roller coaster. It's like, you're going to have your days, and that's okay. Like, everybody's normal, everybody's human, but just try to get a good solid average of like, kind of got my shit together on the norm, on the regular, and it's like, there's going to be the moments that you'll have, but overall it's like, stay positive and just stay productive, because, complaining and bitching about it, that's not going to help. It's just going to continue to draw a divide between those who do and those who don't,
time is due time, baby.
Whoa.
That's where you got to get it, man. The cute, like I said, man, Q time is due time. So, well, once again, with us today. Well,
yeah, I got it now.
We may have lost Bo, or maybe we didn't. But like, all I was saying was, man, Q time is due time. You gotta figure something out. So, Bo, thanks again for taking the time to chat with me today. If you guys get a chance, go to thoumayest.com, subscribe to some coffee delivery if you're here in Kansas City.
Enter promo code, pull up and make that love for FRMC.
LUV for FRMC.
You enter that, you get another 10% off.
I'll put it in the show notes.
Find a friend who's on the front lines, who's in the fire department or the police department or EMT or doctor, nurses, doesn't matter. Anybody on that front line, and like, we're getting it to them at cost. So get them energy, get them some comfort.
Well, I want to spend some of my fundraiser money with you guys, and we'll get that figured out here shortly. See you next time.